Hello student, I am Professor Devashish Bose, Head, Department of Criminology and Forensic Science, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar, Madhya Pradesh. I am going to present a lecture of BSc first semester on the unit Introduction to Forensic Science, which has been jointly prepared by myself and Mr. Giriraj Sharma, PhD scholar, a UGC JRF at Department of Criminology and Forensic Science, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar. So let's start our discussion while taking a look at what we are going to learn today. Today in Module 1, we will see Introduction to Forensic Science Laboratories. Module 2 will be Divisions of Forensic Science Laboratory. Module 3, Explanation of different Gadget Officer ranks of State Forensic Science Laboratory. Module 4, Functioning of State Forensic Science Laboratory. Module 5, Limitations of State Forensic Science Laboratory, and finally, Module 6 will be our conclusion. So let's start with Module 1, Introduction to Forensic Science Laboratory. Now we will be talking about what is Forensic Science Laboratory. As we know that Forensic Science Laboratory is the center of attraction for the students pursuing their study in the field of forensic science, where all the physical evidences from a criminal cases are admitted for examination and analysis by scientific principles and methods, or in other words, we can say this is the only multidisciplinary laboratory where it is provided scientific support and services in the investigation of crime and to reveal the truth that are being hidden in the form of physical evidences. Forensic Science Laboratory can answer all the queries raised by a court of law. Basically, investigating officer recognizes, collect and preserve the physical evidence from crime scene and then send them to the Forensic Science Laboratory along with a list of questionnaire. Following them, the forensic scientists will use the most reliable and all possible scientific methods by which they can be answered. In India, Forensic Science Laboratory function under the supervision of central government as well as the state government. State Forensic Science Laboratory works under the supervision of state government, whereas all central forensic science laboratories work under the supervision of central government. Today, most of the states in India have a full-fledged forensic science laboratory, and some of them even have established a regional or district forensic science laboratories. Module 2, Divisions or section of a forensic science laboratory. My dear students, now we will discuss the different sections or divisions of a forensic science laboratory. As we know that Forensic Science Laboratory has been divided into different sections that make full-fledged laboratory. So let's start with the various sections or divisions of the Forensic Science Laboratory. We start with Forensic Biology and Serology Division. As we have studied in the previous class, biology is the branch of science dealing with the study of the living organism. But in forensic science, it deals with the examination of biological materials encountered in a crime against person or property. Thus, in a single line, we can say forensic biology is the branch of forensic science that deals with the application of biology to the court of law. Biological evidences are blood. As we know that blood as an evidence is one of the most common type of biological evidence obtained at the scene of crime. Here we will have a brief discussion about blood. Blood is made up of two parts. One is cellular part and another is the plasma. The cellular part of blood consists of erythrocytes, leukocytes and platelets, whereas plasma contains organic and inorganic materials. At a crime scene, blood could be present in two forms, wet blood or dried blood. Collection, preservation, handling and transportation of the exhibit to the Forensic Science Laboratory leads to a good result. Following methods should be used at the crime scene if the blood is in a wet condition, like take a swab and FTA paper, and if the blood is in the dried form, we could use swab, cutting, scraping, or collecting the entire item and lifting the method for the collection. Dear student, after examining the blood, a forensic scientist can opine whether it is a blood or not. Confirmatory examination of the blood, which includes species identification from the blood and individualization from the blood whether it is a blood of a group A, B, AB or O. So, this is the function of the serology unit of a forensic science laboratory. I think I am clear. Now take example of hair. Hair including hair or pubic hairs are frequently occurred constituent the biological evidence found at a crime scene, and their identification can be of great importance. Formerly, the principal method employed in forensic hair analysis were limited only to morphological analysis and comparisons. Fibers. To find out the origin, individualization and comparison and matching of the fiber is done here. Diatoms. This is used to ascertain the fact whether the drowning was antemortem or postmortem. Skeleton, skull or bone is used to confirm the sex, race, origin, stature and the species. Insect, that is flies and maggots, are used to determine the depth of time as well as the place of death. Plant material, that is leaves, wood, seeds, pollens, fruit, flowers, are used to determine the species and also for the comparison with the control and standards. Biological fluids, that is semen, saliva, urine, etc., are used to determine the species, origin and also for the individualization. Now we come to another division, that is forensic physics. Physics division of forensic science laboratories deals with the following type of examination which are carried out, for example, glass, soil, tool marks, paint, metallic pieces, threads, ropes, cloth, struggle and cut marks on cloth, knot examination and examination of metallic seals and many more things related to physics. Now with this we move on to another division, that is forensic chemistry. It deals with the following examination: qualitative or quantitative examination of alcoholic beverages. To determine qualitative and quantitative composition of chemical powders, dyes, organic and inorganic substances. Moreover, it also examines the presence of inflammable fluid in burnt residue of arson and fire cases. As we know that adulteration is a common problem nowadays in food, edible oils, petroleum product, cements, spices and juices. To identify the presence and purity and genuineness, and also in addition to this the trap cases and the acid attack cases. Now we come to another section, that is forensic toxicology. It deals with the presence of poison in human and animal viscera. Moreover, examination of blood, saliva, urine, vomit, hair, skin, stomach content, food, tablet, powders, syrups, needles and other substances that were present at the scene of crime. Now we come to another section, that is DNA fingerprinting, quite new section. It deals with the cases of disputed paternity, identification, mass disaster cases, etc. It can handle different type of exhibits for the examination of DNA such as blood, saliva, urine, bone, hair and other biological materials. Forensic ballistic division. It involves the examination of firearms to determine the nature and type of weapon used in the crime, range of firing, linked fire bullet cartridge cases with the suspected weapons, pellets, vats, burned and unburned powder, grains and checking of mechanism of the weapon for the evidence of accidental discharge. to ascertain their caliber, make, model, type, and to establish a link between the firearm and the crime. Forensic Explosive Division. The analysis of explosive involves the examination and opinion of explosives, civil, military or IEDs, and explosive device used in crime, riots, police firing, encounters, etc. Reconstruction of crime scene with the explosion, etc. Laboratory analysis of explosives and their detection. Sometimes this section works also with the chemistry section. Next is Voice Analysis Division. This is completely new and is associated also with the physics. The division examines telephonic and direct recording to identify the speaker. A very advanced version of computerized voice spectrograph, namely Computerized Speech Lab Model CSL 4500, is being used for the analysis of speaker identification cases. Training cell. Forensic Science Laboratory has training cell that arrange different type of programs to the officers and other officials. The main function is to arrange training programs for new candidates to the scientific cadre and acquaint them with the working of Forensic Science Laboratory. Conduct selection and training of police teams and all India police duty personnels. Coordinate with the Police Academy for conducting training of police personnel in the field of forensic science. Arrange training for the students of forensic science and other officials of government department. Now we come to the list of modern equipments which are established in the laboratory. This is another section, we can say, which holds or houses the sophisticated instruments of the Forensic Science Laboratory. They are namely high performance liquid chromatography, high performance thin layer chromatography, head space gas chromatography, Fourier transform infrared spectrometer, inductive coupled plasma spectrometer, atomic absorption spectrometer, UV visible spectrophotometer, comparison microscope, fluorescence microscope, apart from other instruments. Dear student, in this module, we have discussed a lot of things about the Forensic Science Laboratory, like its sections or like what are the works of these sections. Here I would like to clear one thing, that in all of these sections, the laboratory can change one laboratory to another. They will have the basic departments such as physics, biology and chemistry, but they might have a special department like polygraph test, voice analysis, etc. So now we are going to move towards another interesting module, Module 3. Explaining different ranks of the gazetted officers in a state forensic science laboratory. With this table, you are able to understand the hierarchical position of the State Forensic Science Laboratory. Director. Director of a forensic science laboratory works under the supervision of the police or Ministry of Home Affairs of their respective state. Moreover, director is the chief officer of the forensic science laboratory. Under his or her supervision, whole forensic science laboratory work. Senior Joint Director. Senior Joint Director helps to the director, or he takes charge when the director is out of town or under other conditions. Joint Director. Joint Director is the head of the regional forensic science laboratory as well as the division of a particular forensic science laboratory such as biology, physics, chemistry, ballistics, etc. The number of posts of the Joint Director can vary from one laboratory to another. Senior Scientific Officer, or in some cases Assistant Director. They deals with the exhibits and create the forensic report that will help in the criminal investigation. Moreover, whenever the court of law has doubt, as an expert senior scientific officer can give his or her report to the court of law. Scientific Officer. Scientific Officer also examines the physical evidence, but they can have more and more cases in comparison to the senior scientific officer. So, my dear student, there is no more difference between the working procedure. So, here I would like to add one point. It depends on a respective FSL, its size, its nature of work, that the designation changes, or there may be sub designations inserted between two, like SSO and joint director. They may intercept another position. So it depends on the individual forensic science laboratory, basically depending on the size of that state.
Start, sir.
So with this, we come to the end of the interesting module, module 3, and now we move on to another module which will also fascinate you. It's module 4, function of state forensic science laboratory. In this lecture, we shall study about the functions of a state forensic science laboratory. As we have discussed in the previous module, forensic science laboratory is a multidisciplinary laboratory established to provide scientific support and service to the investigation of crime. Forensic science laboratory does a lot of function apart from the scientific examination. Basically, it also serves at a crime scene in form of forensic mobile unit. In addition to this, forensic scientist also collects, preserves and transports the physical evidence from crime scene to the forensic science laboratory. They act as a help to the investigating officer. As we know that forensic science starts its work after the committance of the crime. Whatever the evidence they get at the crime scene, they just give a good treatment to them according to their nature. Now it's time to read different functions of the crime scene. Functions of forensic science laboratory. Investigating officer collects and preserves the exhibit from the crime scene. Then the box having the article are sent by the superintendent of that particular district police or equivalent designated officer of other branches of police with a written requisition for examination and with attached questionnaire list regarding the exhibit, which is entered in the same order. However, important case on special request are given as priority. The reports of the examined cases are sent back to the related police station or the investigating officer. At the time of trial in courts, the related examiner of the case visit the concerned court on summons for presentation of his or her report. A fee per case is also charged for the cases referred by other than police department, which is likely to be enhanced. Species identification and blood grouping of blood, semen, saliva, etc. is carried out in forensic science laboratory. The director FSL on requisition from appropriate authority makes available the services of special experts of concerning division of a FSL to visit the crime scene. The director forensic science laboratory also submits a monthly and annual administrative report of their laboratory to ADG, CID and police headquarters of the particular state. The state FSL can have the following divisions which are rendering forensic support services to the various investigating agencies in scientific analysis of exhibits and collection or detection of relevant physical clues from scene of crime. Ballistic division, biology and serology division, chemistry and explosive and narcotics division, DNA profiling unit, physics division, toxicology and voice analysis division. Having finished this lecture, we will move to another module, that is limitations of a state forensic science laboratory. My dear student, now we will be discussing about the limitations of a state forensic science laboratory. As we know that forensic science laboratory has also its limitation, like the results of the exhibit totally depends on the collection and preservation of the physical evidence. If the investigating officer performs well at their part, definitely they will have good result. Moreover, sometimes they have limitations in terms of instrumental techniques, because at a scene of crime, sometimes forensic scientists get exhibit in very small or minute quantity, so available techniques are not appropriate for their analysis. Therefore, it is also the limitations of a forensic science laboratory. Moreover, all the state forensic science laboratories are not connected to each other by internet. It means they are not fully digitalized. Due to this problem, laboratories don't have quick data access of each other's laboratory. In addition to this, state forensic science laboratory don't have such facility by which they can directly connect with the crime scene. It means investigating officer directly cannot show the crime scene to the forensic scientist, and they cannot give their opinion regarding the physical evidence as well as the scene of crime. So it's a limitation. Otherwise, sitting in a laboratory, they can say which evidence to collect and which not. So these all are the limitations of the state forensic science laboratories. After having this lecture, we are going towards the conclusion. So, we start with our next module, that is conclusion. My dear student, I hope you have enjoyed this informative lecture on Forensic Science Laboratory. It's a multidisciplinary laboratory established to provide scientific support and services to the investigation of crime. These forensic science laboratories are directly under the administrative control of either Home Department or the Police Department. As per Charter of Duties by Directorate of Forensic Science Services provides technical support to these FSLs. Apart from state FSLs, most of the states have district and mobile FSLs to cater their forensic needs. Moreover, in this whole lecture, we have discussed what is Forensic Science Laboratory, how they work in our country. We have also talked about the organizational setup of Forensic Science Laboratory. In addition to this, we also explained the function and limitation of Forensic Science Laboratory. So, it was all about the State Forensic Science Laboratory. So, with this informative lecture, we come to the end of this module. I hope you have enjoyed this lecture, and keep in mind you have to study and remember the important points. Till then, goodbye, and I am Professor Devashish Bose signing off.